A few years ago, I was admitted to residential rehab and stayed there for about a couple months. And given that my phone and my laptop were behind lock and key, I don't really have a lot of content. Most of the content that I had was when I was allowed my phone, which was during specific activities like art therapy, where I did a lot of finger painting, and ceramics and horse therapy. I went because I hit rock bottom in terms of my mental health and exhaustion, and I'd gotten to a point in my career where a lot of that caught up to me, and I just lost sight of who I was, and also was questioning a lot of things about my own judgment and behavior. I really did girl boss too close to the sun, to the point that when I lost my work, I lost myself. While I was there, it was very structured. So we had about 8 to 12 hours of therapy every single day. About half of that was individual therapy and the other half was group therapy. And it was kind of wild because I was there in the middle of the pandemic in the summer of 2020. And we were basically in a COVID bubble. And it was me and honestly, for the majority of my time, 3 cis white guys. And we had to do all of our therapy together, and their politics were very different from mine. And since it was a presidential election year of 2020, a lot of the politics did come into conversation in group therapy even. But I spent a lot of time alone, and I was often the only one who would opt into the more creative things. I found it very life-changing in the sense that I learned a lot about myself, including getting diagnosed with complex PTSD and borderline personality disorder. But what was also new for me in the experience is that they prescribed me a lot of different drugs. And it's been a lot of work behind the scenes with my psychiatrist and therapist to try to figure out the right dosages of things rather than being overly medicated. Usually when you go to rehab, you're allowed to leave the premises, but because this was the height of the pandemic, we weren't actually allowed to leave. And I lost a lot of weight because I would essentially spend hours a day working out in the gym, which was one of the few things I was allowed to do on my own without supervision, and also a lot of time just with the horses. And once I got approved to have a crochet hook or knitting needles in my room by myself, I did a lot of crocheting and listening to audiobooks. I will say that horse therapy really changed my life. I had never really been around horses before. I didn't grow up around them either. I mean, I grew up in New York City, but horse therapy is when I was allowed my phone, so this is when I have most of my content, and it's crazy to see. I mean, I'm definitely a lot skinnier. I don't know how much of a healthy thing that is, but overall I'm thankful for the experience.